I have been preaching and doing public speaking for 25 years, but I've never had a Saturday night like last night. Last night was one of those all-night nights, and I wasn't studying for an exam, okay? When you get this old, they don't let you in the classroom unless you're cleaning it out. But last night, I can tell you, I rewrote this sermon 3 times between the time my head hit the pillow and when I got up. When I said to Pastor Evan a few weeks ago, I said, yes, I'll help you out this morning. I had no idea that the 24 hours before this Sunday, what was going to transpire, none of us had any idea of. Not just on the national level, on the national scene, we're in America today where kids are starving. And then in another 24 hours, it's going to be even worse if our country doesn't do something about it. But then on the local level, on the really level of where our hearts are heavy, we lost one of our saints yesterday, and thank you. She knows I'm just getting warmed up now. I don't do much, like I said, public speaking, so this is one of the first ones. I hope you all don't kick me out the door. I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to tell you what I got left. I don't have much, but when I talked to Pastor Evan yesterday, I told him, I said, Pastor, I'm going to give it everything I got, but I don't know how much I got left in the tank. Have you all ever feel that way, that you don't know what you got left in the tank? No, you don't know, and you just filled up with gas. And then you get up in the morning and you said, I don't know how much I got left in the tank to work with. As I said, it would be nice if we could just snap our fingers and things would be all right. And that word snap goes a long way right now in this country. That word Head Start goes a long way in this country right now. We have people scared to death. I'm talking about this morning preaching a few words on the Beatitudes, and if you go back and look at that, the word Beatitude is Latin, and the Latin translation literally means blessing. So if we look here, let me bring this back around. Now, you can never look at God's word enough. I got the wrong sheet. Just bear with me here. I'll get there. I'm here. Our gospel reading comes from Luke, and I just said now, I'll be preaching from the Beatitudes, and the translation of that literally means blessing. So what we're going to do this morning, I hope I'm going to try to do, is to remind you that because you are the lost, the least, and the lonely, you are still a blessing. Okay? You are the lost, the least, and the lonely. We spend a whole lot of time with jingles, AAA. I'm talking about Triple L this morning. The lost, the least, and the lonely. You're still going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You can come to us 7 days a week, and even when we're closed, we're trying to do something to feed, to impact the lost, the least, and the lonely. Even when our doors are closed, Our mission is never closed. I'll say that again. Even when our doors are closed, our mission is never closed. Because the problems that the people have today, we cannot turn a blind eye to those problems. Can we? The Lord won't let us. And I'm focusing on the 20 and 21st verse, which talks about poverty and hunger. Not only do we at All Peoples Gathering Church have to keep this space open. That's half of it, keeping it open. I don't get around here much, but I know we're still open. We still have to have our hearts in what we're doing. Because I don't know, I mean, we have a daughter that's facing another transplant, and that's just a whole nother story, but she said to me, she said, "Daddy," I said, "What, baby?" I talk to her all the time. She said, "Daddy," she said, "don't you think for a minute that God has forgot about me?" Okie dokie, Smokey. And she just got on the list so that now she'll find a donor. But she says, "Daddy," she said, "don't you go around acting like God done forgot about me, because God has not. The lost, the least, and the lonely, when they come to this door, they do not expect us to say we forgot about them. They do not expect us. They're not going to tolerate that. And sometimes that brings out some behavior that's not always pretty. When you got a baby at home that's already hungry, sick, and you didn't have enough to start with. You didn't have enough to start with when you came to the table, and then you now hear these words about SNAP going, Head Start going. That would scare me to death. It will scare anybody to death. So, of course, their behavior is going to be a little bit more edgy and agitating. But I say to you this morning, remember, God did not stop loving them because they're lost, lonely, and least. And we all know who they are because we see them at our food pantry every day. And I haven't quite figured this out, but the more I'm comfortable with feeling and saying that the lost, least, lonely people are blessed just like I am. They may not have a car, they may not have money in their pocket, but they are blessed just like we are. Okay? The more I'm reminded of that, and the more that's my worldview about what I can do to make a difference, then the stronger I'm going to be on my journey. I remember a few weeks ago, I was in McDonald's. I was just going to get a cup of coffee, and this couple, young couple, they were probably, of course, it don't take much for anybody to be younger when you get this old. You know, you don't take much, but they were younger. And they said, "Sir?" I said, "Yes." And they treated me with such respect. I said, "Yes." They said, "Can you help us?" She said, "We got $2, and there was 2 of them and a little baby. And we're trying to make sure we have enough to get the value meal or whatever the meal is for the baby." And I said, "How much more you need?" I mean, I'm not rich, but I knew I had some money in my pocket. And I can't begin to tell you how that little girl's face lit up when she knew that she was going to be able to get the Happy Meal and the deal in there. Think about that Happy Meal deal. And when they placed that order and I paid for it, and she said, "Thank you." I said, "No problem." This is the real deal. We may not be able to make a lot of people's life happy, But the real deal is we can make sure they're not hungry. One more day. And sometimes it's just that next step that's going to make. When I saw that little girl's face light up, I was just as happy as a clam. I'll tell you. The other thing, when you get older, it don't take much to make you happy. Just waking up in the morning makes you happy. So let us think about that as we are opening up our pantry doors and as we are serving people who sometimes come to us and may be a little less than happy. Just a little bit irritable, or maybe just a little bit say something that, so now why did they say that? They didn't mean that. They said that because not only was their head heavy, their heart was heavy at that moment. And they felt for that one moment in time that we, whoever the we is, didn't care about them. But we do. I mean, I've been here, and again, I got so many Miss Carolyn stories, but I remember when I first got started, she said, of course, she made sure I was at home. But she said, Pastor Ron, I said, what? She said, you're going to meet people that you never knew existed come in front of you, come to that Bible study. You didn't even know people like that existed. And they're going to be right there sitting next to you, eating with you, talking with you, laughing with you, crying with you. But you know what, Pastor Ron? I said, what? She said, we're all in this together. Once they come in that door, we're all in it together. Because I know sometimes we get in situations, I'm able to talk now to other parents who have children that are facing transplant, and it just helps me to know that I'm not alone. When they come to our door, they're not alone, and we're not alone. The lost, the least, and the lonely. Because a part of us is with the group that comes to that door that we may feel like we're not in that group. You know, we're kind of, not that we're privileged, but I guess if you got food, you are kind of privileged. And we hear nowadays, this is the only little public announcement I'll make about a book, but The Death of a King. We in America now, we have a movement that some people say we need to be protesting to make sure we don't have a king. Well, we had a king kind of sort of like Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King, but he was a different kind of king. Well, I've been rereading this book called Death of a King by Travis Smiley. And basically it talks about the last 12 months of Dr. King's life. And those of you that know me, I mean, I'm a King scholar. I study. I don't have PhDs or MDs or all that, but I study. And he got to the end of his life, and he ended up in Memphis. And what he was there at Memphis for was to be part of a movement with the sanitation workers to get better pay. So he was really, to the bitter end, he was trying to open doors. And that's kind of the point I want to leave you with this morning as I pull this together, is that we're trying to open doors here. Because it becomes very easy to say, well, why don't the people that come downstairs come upstairs? That's not what it's about. That would be nice. And some people will come from down to up. But what we have to do is continue to help people who are trying to get in doors that have been closed all of their life, to help them to have the courage to go to another door and say, this time I'm going to get in. They put their hand around that doorknob and they pull, you pull and you pull, and finally you touch that doorknob that last time and it opens. That's what a lot of it is about, giving people that hope to be able to open that door, because we never know what's behind that closed door, do we? We never know what's behind that closed door that's been closed to so many people. And there's doors in America that are still closed. We've come a long way, but we have some work to do. We have a lot of work ahead of us, especially as it relates to the lost, the least, and the lonely. And finally, the saints. Like I said earlier, the saints come and they go. They come and they go. But the work is constant. It's continuous. And if we're going to continue to live into that legacy of those saints here at All People's Church, and Miss Carolyn was just one of them. There's others that have gone on before her. Because she loves some church, baby. Okay? Miss Carolyn loved her some church. And she loved some music, too. But she never forgot. She never forgot the job. She never forgot what had to be done. She stayed focused on that, on what we had to do. Not always what we want to do. If I had to say one lesson I learned that stayed with me about Miss Carolyn, sometimes we have to do stuff we don't want to do. Okay, how many times did I hear her preach that to me and preach that to the staff? Sometimes we have to do stuff that we don't want to do, but we have to do it. Because not only have we been chosen by God, we've been called by God. Chosen is one thing, but we've been called by God this day to do the difficult work, to keep it going, to not back down. This is not the time to stop. And as I said, there may be people who are looking forward to dancing in the ballroom. That's all right. I don't have anything there's nothing wrong with ballroom dance. But at the same time, what's not right is when people are starving to death in the street, who are starving to death in front of us. We don't have to go far to see that. All we have to do is just open up our doors, and we'll see that. So, in closing, I would remind all of us that we are not just chosen, we are called. We are called by God. God knows our name. Sometimes we forget that. We think, well, God is not watching now. When God gets tired of what God gets tired of, God's going to snatch it up and turn it all around now, okay? And don't have any doubts that it's not going to be that way, because it will. Thank you, and God bless you.